Hello, I'm Dr. Ayers, veterinarian and owner of MWA Manufacturing. We're here today to introduce you to the ultimate drenching and transfaunation system. And that system starts with a base. This is an optional base that we have that we can put all of our equipment on and carry it out to the cow. And as you can see, there's a handle and a mounting bracket for our pump. The second component of our system is our pump. We manufacture these ourselves, so we can, by changing the connector, we can actually use it for collecting fluid from the cow, and we can use the same pump for drenching a cow. This pump snaps right into our holder, and so it's easy to remove for cleaning purposes, or if we needed to take it somewhere. So now there's our pump. The next component is our bucket for carrying our drench. And you'll notice one thing is our bucket is very well balanced, and the handle it comes up over the center of the bucket. So when it's full of drench or rumen fluid, it's easy to carry. And there's our suction tube. And the way we have everything designed, this will completely empty this bucket. There's about less than a cup left in the bucket. That just screws on there very easily. The bucket sits into our carrier, right down into the base of it. Right. Then we just snap the cam locks on. You can see I'm just putting the cam locks in place. And that engages the pump into the bucket. And we recommend that you keep the hoses attached to the bucket when in storage. That helps keep these hoses out of the way so they're not getting snagged. And it also helps keep the hoses trained so that they're in that position. One unique thing about our system is when I have this set just like this with both hoses hooked to the bucket, I can now use the pump to help mix the drench. So we put our water into the bucket, pour our powder or our liquid drench material on top, and hook the bucket up, hook the pump to the bucket just like this in this configuration. So now when we run the pump and we're going in and out with the pump action here, we're actually pulling out of the bucket through the pump back into the bucket, and it will actually mix the drench for us in the bucket. Okay. Another component of our system is the what we call the transfaunator, and this is for collecting rumen fluid from a cannulated cow. So we have a rumen fistula, and we put a cannula into the cow. This unit goes down into the cow's rumen. And then we connect it to the pump and bucket via the standard 6-foot hose for collecting alongside the cow. And then that hooks onto the male side of the pump, like so. And everything is coordinated so that you can't hook it up wrong. It always hooks to the pump or the bucket in the correct fashion. So now this would be into the cow's rumen. We operate the pump. It will pull rumen fluid out and into the bucket. And using this, we can collect anywhere from 3 to 5 gallons in about 5 minutes with a cannula cow. And this is the ultimate way of collecting rumen fluid. So if you have a lot of collections to do, whether you're using it for transfaunating sick cows, or you're using the rumen fluid in calves to stimulate their immune system and decrease scours, we can collect a large volume. So the next component is we have to get the rumen fluid or the drench into the cow. So we have a our speculum. Our speculum is a unique design in that this long blade goes into the cow's mouth. The branches on the side will set into the corner of the cow's mouth, similar to say a bit on a horse. And then the bungee cord goes up over top of the pole, and that just holds this into the cow's mouth so that you don't have to hold it. And it's comfortable for the cow. This does not go back too far. The distance from here to here is pretty consistent on cattle, from the corner of their mouth to the back of the last tooth. And this has been designed to protect our tube, our drench tube, and our ETD. So that would go into the cow. Here's our drench tube. And as you see, it's fixed with a cam lock that will go into the pressure side of the pump. And if you'll take a look at this, the tip of our tube, drench tube, you'll see that there's large exit holes, multiple, and top, bottom, side to side, for resistance-free drenching. No matter if this would come up against something in the rumen or up against the rumen wall, there are other holes for it to go out. We do not build up any pressure. Decreased chances of plugging if you happen to be pumping rumen fluid through here, or perhaps even alfalfa pellets in a slurry. So there's our drench. This is again just hooks onto the pump. Very easy, right here. Cam lock fitting. This would go into the cow by way of the speculum, just like that. The other component of our system is the ETD, esophageal transfaunation device. And similar to the transphonator, if you are, this is used to collect rumen fluid from a donor cow to transfaunate or give to a sick cow to help stimulate her appetite, get her rumen back to functioning. This will collect about 1.5 gallons in about 5 minutes. So it's much slower than the use of the transphonator, which is designed for a large volume and going through the side of the rumen. But sometimes it's hard to justify doing a surgery on a cow on a small dairy, or if you don't have to transfaunate very often, you just need it once in a while, then this is the system for you. What we have is the suction screen on the end, and you can see there's multiple holes in it. This is kind of a tube in a tube design. It's similar to a well and a well casing. The top end, you'll notice, has this side branch. This is actually a check valve, and what it does is we control how much pressure is put on, negative pressure is put on the suction screen, so that we don't draw too much material in and plug up the screen, or worse yet, draw the rumen wall or this side of the esophagus into this. And you know, if you can imagine, if it collapsed down around here and you put a bunch of negative pressure, it's going to try and suck it in through these holes. But actually, the way we're set up is it can vent to atmosphere. And so we've played with lots of different vacuum pressures, and we found that this was the most efficient and decreased chances of plugging or trauma to the cow. So if material gets around here, or the esophagus or the rumen wall, it just vents to atmosphere when we're trying pressure or negative pressure. So this would go down the cow again via our speculum, and when it gets into the bottom of the rumen, it'll set down, go through the esophagus opening and set down in the cranial sac or the reticulum of the rumen. This is weighted so that it drops down into the bottom. Then we just hook the ETD to the pump and slowly operate the pump. Nice, slow, steady strokes. it works the best, because if you pump real rapidly, you create more negative pressure or increased negative pressure, and it'll just vent to atmosphere. So if you use nice, slow, steady strokes, it'll actually become more efficient. And in this configuration right here, rumen fluid will end up in the bucket. It takes about 1 gallon to 1.5 gallons to transfaunate a cow, and that's approximately 4 to 6 liters. The top of this holder, the top of the black band that holds the bucket, is right at 1 gallon, 1.5 gallons, or 4 to 6 liters. So when you're pumping out of the cow and you collect, and once you see the rumen fluid at the top of the band, you know you can stop and go transfaunate your cow. So I put the fluid into the bucket, remove the ETD, hook it back up to the bucket. Now I take off the female end, and I'm going to go out and hook that to put this into my recipient cow, hook that back up and pump again, and now I'll empty the rumen fluid out of the bucket into my recipient cow, just like we were drenching. One unique aspect of our system, and that's why it is called a system, we can use this for multiple things, is I can not only collect rumen fluid by one of the 2 different methods of the transfaunator or the ETD, but I can also go direct cow to cow. And I don't even have to collect it in the bucket. So if I have 2 cows standing side by side in the lockup, one's a healthy cow, one's a cow that's off feed, I can remove the bucket from the system or just work over the top of it, but for the ease of seeing it, I'm going to remove it. What we would do, put a speculum into the cow, take the ETD, the speculum, and pass the ETD into the donor cow, and then on the cow right next to her, I'm going to take and put the drench tube into the cow right next to her. And we have a video that's on our channel and on our website demonstrating the cow-to-cow technique. But as you can see, now I have the ETD hooked to one side of the pump and the drench tube hooked to the other side of the pump. So rumen fluid is going to come up through the ETD, through the pump, and right back out to the sick cow. That is a unique feature to our system. We can do the same thing with the transfaunator. So if you did have a cannula cow, we have an optional 12-foot tube, suction tube. We could put this into our cannula cow, hook it to the vacuum side of the pump, hook our drench tube to the pressure side of the pump, and a cow right next to it, and go directly from the rumen to the cow. So now you ask, well, how do we know how much to put in, because we don't have our bucket in here to measure? Well, we've checked that out for you, and based on a slight decrease in efficiency or this venting to air, if there's rumen material builds up on the suction screen, it takes 20 strokes of the pump to get about 4 liters of rumen fluid from the donor cow. So if I'm going direct, I just count pump strokes, nice easy pump strokes. If we get into a situation where it's venting because there's not enough fluid built around, we just stop for a minute and let a couple of rumen contractions bring more fluid to the suction screen, and then begin pumping again. So about 20 strokes will give you this 4 liters, 6 liters. We'll just hook all this back up, and I'll show you how we have the system set to carry everything we need. We can put the ETD on these hooks on the side. Put our drench tube on the hooks on the other side. Now we have our two speculums. The bungee goes through the handle, around one of the posts, through the handle, around one of the posts, and now you can see everything hangs nice and neat, and it's light, it's well balanced, and we're good to go. Thank you for watching, and I hope this has allowed you to see the components to our drench system, and you can check us out on our website at mwamfg.com. Thank you.